Hello, my name is Frances Fox. I'm a trained government remote viewer. I've been trained in all the psychic skills. I also have a degree in political science from the University of Miami. And I started and ran a very successful business, not the first 10 years, that is still alive today, 50 years later. I built extremely strong, can be dumb as a rock in a lot of things initially because I'm a Cancer, which is an astrological sign that's attached to things and attached to the past. But basically I overcome all of that to do things that are very innovative. So today the title of this Frances Fox News from Other Dimensions is Letting Go of the Past. What better day than to talk about war? I am half Cuban, half German, and I live in Miami. So I have a lot with all of the Latin American countries and Central America and the Caribbean, because we used to call Miami their shopping center. But now, honestly, a lot of well-to-do people from those countries have homes here, etc. The point of the matter is that I deal with a lot of people from Latin America, and I understand a lot about them because I've been dealing with them. My Spanish improved a lot with my contact with them because Cubans don't speak such great, correct Spanish. It's much friendlier, much more like a Spanish, I would imagine, to a lot of other countries. But as an aside, on television, the personalities that have gotten multi-million followers have been Cuban. And then the third one was Dominican. In other words, Caribbean, islander females. Interesting. I wonder if Atlantis has anything to do with that. Maybe we have a lot to say. I don't have those numbers. And at the rate I'm going, I'm not going to get numbers, not even here on X. I'm so sat on, strangled, buried that I talked to like 6 people. But I'm so determined to get the information out, I keep talking. So, letting go of the past. We, we're in a new cycle from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. Oh, that's great. But we do and wars the way we used to do business and wars, and it's not really working. So I have been working with the Venezuelan community having to do with what happened over this weekend, which is that they held an elections. So the 6 people that follow me, there's more than 6, but the 6 people that follow me, I told them that we needed to do mantras in order to vitalize the intention that the elections be fair, that they be, I don't remember the other word, but the last word was fair, that the elections be fair. And the elections went very smoothly. And the people that I would have wanted to win did win. I don't know them personally, but I know that they were not for a military regime, which for me is very good. So then we are now into today, which is the day after the elections, and you have a lot of violence starting up because the existing president or regime ruler in Venezuela said that no, that they had won the elections. It seems to be pretty obvious that he didn't. So what do we do today? Well, I've put together something I've been doing for a long time, which is called the Fox Protocols, and having to do with being spiritually sophisticated and dealing with issues in that way. So today I said the election passed very successfully. It was fair. Most people appeared not to want Maduro. They didn't elect him. Now we have another problem, which is the transition. So I said, let's reformulate. And the mantra has to be to have an elegant transition, which doesn't mean that you bring your diamond tiara and your ballroom gown with the train. It means that it be something that everybody can say, wow, that was super, it was smooth as silk. And we have been doing that. And we also, I said, we need to we have a nation full of very frustrated people. Just the fact that too often they don't have electricity, which means they don't have air conditioning, which means they can't cook. Many times they don't have internet. Things that for us is just like a basic. I mean, how do you live without those things? They've had to live without that for a long time. And a lot of them are not backwater people. In other words, people that are not used to having conveniences and you take them away. It's not good. But for people that are very modern, as I don't know that you can say most of Venezuela, but certainly most of the Venezuelans I've known are very modern and updated and whatever. So I said, let's do a purification mantra to reduce the frustrations and the anger that is already in the land. As we were working over the weekend, I could see that the land, the earth underneath Venezuela was kind of like would rise up. There's a lot of emotions there. That's what catastrophes are all about, to sweep away emotions, because those emotions can cause ultimate destruction. The catastrophe is to sweep it away, the ability for there to be an ultimate destruction, and it also sweeps away people and businesses and money and whatever, but less than if the catastrophe hadn't happened. So I've been worried, and I said it, I don't hold things back, that we needed to work with those repressed emotions because they were already in the land, like what happened under New York City after 9/11, and they ended up creating a new fault line. So, and then I said, we need to change the vibration, purifying the frustration and the exhaustion, which is a message I want to send to Tucker, Elon Musk, and Trump. Exhaustion changes people. They can't vitalize their intentions. They can't vitalize their projects. So whatever you need to do, all three of you, you need to do it. You need to identify why you're getting so tired and what it is that helps you with that exhaustion. Because when I did a study 15 years ago, it wasn't a massive study. It was 10 people. What I found was that the number one block to them, whenever it came the moment, which is now, of this evolution, that their biggest block would be their exhaustion. And that was 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. So those three men, pay attention to your exhaustion. It's not a badge of, what is the red badge of courage, like that book? He got shot. That was his red badge of courage, and he died. Don't let that be your red badge of courage. Because before you go down, you're going to take a lot of us down with you. So you have an obligation to look at your exhaustion. So in Venezuela, everybody's exhausted. Exhaustion causes depression. Depression creates a filter, and you look at the world and it's no longer as nice and as good. And the stuff that you set up when you weren't depressed because you weren't exhausted doesn't look the same. So need to address that. And I set up a page, and if you speak Spanish, you can see it. And if you don't, then you can't. It's on my website called The Fox Protocols and Being Spiritually Sophisticated. So we have the beginning of an unrest that looks like it's going to get totally out of hand. But it's going to get totally out of hand, not just simply because of the unfairness, because it appears to be pretty obvious that Maduro did lose the election. The unfairness is triggering people's rage. One of the ways you get out of depression, by the way, is getting angry. So you don't want to fall into the deep hole of depression. You go into the anger, and that lifts you up. That's not working, because that anger creates a filter, and then you're no longer as wise or as safe or whatever. And in the case of what's happening in Venezuela, you're going to have a lot of violence. So we worked with the medusas, the pink jellyfish, with a video that we did with music by Mateo Cuaron. And the people that were on the chats were feeling much better. But again, we get 6 people who follow us. And again, it's not 6 people, it's more than that, but it certainly is not numbers. And this is what's now and forward. And what we need to let go of is the old way we did business. And we have to start with the old way we handled our emotions. Too many people refuse to acknowledge that they're depressed and that they're angry. Now, sarcasm is repressed anger, it's veiled anger. And it's okay. It's a way of getting it out, but that doesn't get out enough. That anger is still inside of you, and that is the fire element, and the fire element makes us sick very quickly. There's not that many diseases that you get because you're depressed. Fibromyalgia is one of them. If you get depressed, it's in your tissue, your body hurts, but a lot of other diseases that can basically end your life have to do with a volume of repressed fire. In Venezuela, what I see mainly is repressed depression and exhaustion. But again, you can pull yourself out of that by grabbing onto the fire, which is what's happening today with the people turning against the government and pulling down the statues. So I am telling you this today, but the governments and your enemies have known this for a long time. They want to control you. All they have to do is trigger negative emotions, and then you get all caught up in this spiral and you forget your intentions, such as when I say you need to be ready if there's an economic turndown, you need to be ready and understand how you can stay prosperous in the middle of chaos. And one of the things you can't do is go into a massive depression. You can get depressed because it's legitimate, but you have to do a mantra, pull yourself out of that, and then immediately go back to your intention mantra to create or to maintain your prosperity. It's the same thing with war. You cannot today have that many people that unhappy. Now, I don't know how Castro managed to do that in Cuba, but Cuba's an island. What does that mean? It's right in the middle of water, and there's a lot of wind, and the energy of water, particularly of water, that soothes emotions, purifies them. Venezuela has a large coast, which, by the way, when I sketched, that was the area of Venezuela that was problematic. But anyway, out with the old and in with the new. You have to deal with your emotional reaction and your exhaustion. And then you have to point at what it is that you intend. I foresee that in the future, I will be working with governments to help them to do that. That's not happening yet. I can't get any traction anyplace, including on X, where I put up a 10-hour video with the mantra to support an elegant transition. Got taken down. This time YouTube didn't take it down, but they did an X. So I'm having a hard time. So if this is the kind of thing that you think is important, I would certainly ask you to share, knowing full well that you probably won't. But at least I'm giving some tools to you and giving you information for you to understand that what worked in the past is not going to work anymore. Just going back to X that I'm very angry at, but I totally support. Maduro is not going to be able to get away with this easily. And because of X, all the information is out there. And now that X has the other social media sites frightened because so much has been revealed, they are, I haven't checked today, but I have to assume that they are more lenient with what it is that they're allowing to be on there, which means that the people that were being censored before might be able to be allowed to speak more. So that's revelations. We are in revelations. We aren't in the age of Pisces, which is turn the other cheek. We're in the age of Aquarius, which is we're all equal. And what's not mentioned in anything that I read about that is we have superpowers. And there's certainly a superpower having to do with having places where we can actually express ourselves and not get taken down. Not business as usual. I don't know what it is that's going to happen. Yeah, I actually do know what's going to happen in terms of Maduro, because there's this little trick. If somebody says something and you get a chill or the hairs on your arms stand on end, that means that what that person said is accurate. And every time I say, I think about what's going to happen with Venezuela, and I say, you guys are going to win, I get chills. Now, how long is that going to take? I don't know. And I'm talking about the opposition to Maduro. Mantras work. If we can get a portion of populations to do the properly worded mantras, which is very simple, you don't need to hire a specialist for that. You can change things because mantras liberate the mind streams create reality. So wars are no longer, even though they're still waging those kinds of wars are really no longer as important on the physical dimension in terms of killing the physical bodies of people. It's the part having to do with information, which is the mind, taking it in, is much more important. And in this transition, who knows how long it's going to take for all of that to play out. But it's important to remember that. And that's why disinformation started. Because the people who started with disinformation understood that Revelations was going to reveal everything. So how do you take care of that? You can't control all these people. Everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants to be heard. So what they did was they put out, and they continue to put out, a ton of misinformation to where everybody gets totally confused. And then because of all the excess time on the device and all the rest of that, not enough contact with nature, that confusion together with all the misinformation creates what we have today. And again, in spite of my complaints about X, thank God for X, because there is an opportunity there to post things, even if only 6 people follow you, because you're being sat on, what do they call it? Shadow ban. Letting go of the past, the Olympics, the opening ceremony. There is not going to be the respect now from here forward for religions or the kind of gods that we have been trained to follow until now. Because the ETs that come in are going to be able to do a lot more than those gods. So who's the god? We get our gods, our information, our habits, and everything corresponding to the era that we're in. It's age appropriate, but not an age as in I'm 16 years old, which obviously I'm not, but the age, the era that you're in. And we're into a new era. And those gods are not going to sustain. And that includes the God of the God that's above Jesus Christ. I love Jesus Christ. I do a lot of what Jesus Christ did. I don't read phrases. I quote things from the Bible, including here, because they are valid. But I don't spend my time reading the Bible and then pointing the finger at people. And that's going to all collapse. And I am not in agreement with what they did in the Olympics. That was dumber than dumb. I mean, what were they thinking? I don't know what they were thinking, but that certainly is not the way to go about it. But it is pointing the finger in the direction of nothing is going to remain pristine, particularly something that is going to collapse, which is all the religions and the gods that we were taught, and we all followed one version or another. So letting go of the past, not business as usual at all. The lapse of judgment having to do with the beginning of the Olympics is incredible. And you have to wonder about that whole thing. And they say it's a conspiracy. The Age of Aquarius is not a conspiracy. It's a reality. And those gods are going to come down. And the Last Supper has been questioned anyway. They say there's about that table when we all thought there were 12 other males. And there's a lot of things, and I'm not at all supportive of what the Olympics did, but it is pointing in the direction that we're going in anyway, which brings me to the next kind of topic having to do with the Olympics opening, which is sex. The definition of the word sex is, in the dictionary, to cut, to divide. That's the definition. Nobody can make that go away. You can't fix the dictionary. That's the definition. When, according to the Bible, when humans came to planet Earth, um, man came. And then, according to the Bible, and anybody that wants to correct me is welcome to do that. According to the Bible, I think God saw that man was lonely. I have no idea what. And then God created woman. But when we came in to this planet, so we're from someplace else, even according to the Bible, in my opinion, from those statements, there was no sex. And then God cut man, I believe he made woman from a piece of man, cut man, divided man, and created woman, which means he created sex, sexuality, man, woman. Now that started, this is me talking. I have a very wide lens. I pay a lot of attention to things, and I think for a long time about things that I realize might be important but don't quite get. So then we arrive on the planet, man, no sex. We arrive. From where? Obviously off planet. Okay, so ETs exist. Okay, that's us. Okay. God cuts man, creates woman. Well, that's the definition of sex. To cut, to divide. Now we got men and women. And then we trolley on through the history of mankind, and we are now on our way back. We're in an ascension process. We're on our way back to God. We can't get to God. We can't unite again with God while we're cut, which means sexuality has to be erased. We have to go back and undo what was done. Well, the people that are gay started to do that. In other words, cut, divide a line between male and female. When you're gay, you cross that line, it kind of gets erased. And then you have the bisexuals and all the rest of that. And then now the trans is something I'm not even sure that it fits in any of those categories, because that really doesn't have to do with sex. It has to do with the bodies, and but not the act of sex, which I think people don't pay attention to. So what is this really about? So we're on our way back to God, ascension process. We have to lose our sexuality if we are going back and we came with no sexuality and we need to unite again, we need one solid, which means not cut in two, not divided, no sex, no sexuality, no difference between males and females. And I think maybe the trans movement is trying to kind of do something like that. Not sure. And I'm certainly not supportive of it. But that's another thing we're going to have to let go of, the whole traditional meaning behind sex. We had to start letting go of it when the gay people started to reveal, and then we accepted, and then the bi and da. And it's that darn line. So the Olympics, I guess the Olympics shoved that in our faces. The whole thing about sex and Jesus Christ, which basically is all about God. We work with Jesus Christ because we can't get to God. We need somebody to be our representative, or to guide us, or to be our go-between. So the whole Olympics thing being so incredibly horrifying is basically an example of, you need to let that go. Let go of what you want to be total respect for something that used to be totally respectable, but that is going to be gone because it's part of the process of evolution. No, they should have never done that. Talk about not being diplomatic. I love what Donald Trump said. He said that Kamala was very rude. And then he immediately said, oh, well, I'm that way too. I love that. That's the way things are supposed to be. This is real, truthful, real. And the thing with sex is also. So if you look up the definition of sex in the dictionary, the root, then you'll go, well, what does that mean? And then maybe you don't have to spend the 10 years it took me to figure this out and to draw that little sketch of the circle. We come in as a being from another place. God cuts us. Definition of sex, the cut, divide. We trolley on through history. Now we're trolleying back up to God, and we can't go to God in two pieces. And we are in two pieces, by the way, because even our body, our right side is female, our left side is male. And in the brain, one part is male, one part is female. So letting go of the old, which doesn't mean that you tolerate what they did in the Olympics, because that's totally offensive and it's not necessary to do that. And they're paying a big consequence. What should they have done instead? I don't know. But they were obviously looking at the bigger picture, because then they had the white horse of the apocalypse, which I don't even remember. Somebody said it was the last horse. I have no idea. So you need to prime yourself for being triggered if you are holding on to old concepts such as we're the only people in the universe. That's a big universe. Why did we ever think that? We're the only people in the universe. Darn, maybe there are. Do you think so? Well, maybe the government can kind of help us out with here. The government is not going to help you out with any of the. They're struggling with all of this stuff. So letting go of the old. The people that will have a harder time are the people that are the earth signs, which are the Capricorns, the Tauruses, and the Virgos. And the people that should have the easier time are the air signs, Aquarius and Gemini and Libra. But if you're from a traditional society or a traditional family, it's going to be hard. So letting go of the old needs to be a mantra for you, because the old is collapsing anyway. I find it interesting that a lot of people are turning to Christianity, and there's nothing the matter with that. I think everybody needs something to hold on to. Everybody needs something that's more than them, that they can look up to, and we all need something. For people that are on the front end of all these changes, it's scary because there's nothing to hold on to and there's nobody to look to. The people that are into the Christianity in terms of the Bible, they have something to hold on to. But I think there's going to be a lot more offended people in situations that are incredibly offensive to those people that are so determined to defend something that may be in a process of evolution. Jesus Christ was a 33 numerology, but we have people today that are 44 vibration. So I'm not trying to get anybody to go anyplace or to change anything. I'm giving you my opinions and my observations of years of watching things. I think this also, all these old things that are going to collapse and the new things that are not quite here yet, or they are and we don't get it, creates another big division between us and our children, and us and elderly people that are a lot older than us. It definitely is a very chaotic time to be living in. So I am going to put the peace mantra up, and we can do 10 minutes. And let's do the peace mantra, being it that we have the issue. I found it very interesting in working with Venezuela. It's the same issue as the United States that Trump has, which is election interference. And thank God it doesn't look like this country is going to try to go and help the nice people in Venezuela, because, guys, that's electoral interference. That's election interference. And hierarchy's gone. So I think people don't need to be saved. They need to save themselves. And I know there's something going on because my very awful former handler, arch enemy, Rene de Villegas, is very active again. And I had to send a text to the mayor and say, I'm getting stalked again. That means that there's an awful lot of stuff up in the air, and I don't know if it's triggered just by the Venezuelan thing, but there's an awful lot going on today. So we have to be really clear and centered and grounded within ourselves, knowing that maybe in the next 5 minutes, something that we believed in totally we're going to find out was a total lie, such as all the people that are finding out that aliens exist and how upsetting that's got to be and how dumb they must feel because of negating that reality for so many years. So, messy mantras can help to soothe you, such as the mantra that we're going to do now. So, pay attention to how you feel right now. I'm going to put the dress on, the famous gold dress, and you're going to pay attention to the quality of the colors and the level of shine. This is not as shiny as when I did 20 minutes of mantras this afternoon. It's still very gold and white, but not quite as shiny. So go ahead and self assess yourself 1 and 10. 1 is you feel horrible, 10 you feel like $1,000,000. Where are you right now? And we're going to go ahead and do the mantra. I'm going to put the music on first. Now, let me get the mantra. Let me. Mm. No, we're going to do this. We're going to do the trust mantra, which has to do with trusting that this mess that we're in, because this is surely a mess, that this mess within, that it's going to all end up okay. Okay? And I'm having some trouble here on Restream where they have put, there we go. Okay, this is the mantra. And it's a particular type of mantra that's called a telegram. You're going to send a telegram to your third eye. You're going to send it here, to this space right here, which is third eye and crown. And it's simply the words, we trust, we trust, we trust, and we trust. Did you see how my breathing changed? Did you see how I'm seated more fully on my chair rather than thrust forward? You should feel the same. I'm going to put on the sensory therapy music, and we're going to do minutes of the faith telegram. Okay? Give me a second while I get it. How do you feel from 1 to 10? Rate yourself, and let's go get the gold dress. I see it shinier. How do you see it and how do you feel? Now, we have a chat coming up next in Spanish. It's called Your Children. We've been doing this chat for like 2 years every Monday night, and we do mantras together. And I'm very real because I've learned that our negative emotions and thoughts that we repress are the things that kill us. That's what converts into disease, not how much we love our children or love our brother or sister or whatever. That's not what gets disease. It's the negative stuff that we haven't been given a place to put and we haven't been taught how to resolve it. We have the mantras that take care of it, but that's not my point. My point is that I just asked to have the graphic changed because on here on the chat, one of the mothers said, please give us a mantra to help our kids because they're going out into the streets to riot. But I've been telling the mothers for 2 years, do not send your children to school or just to the streets in a country that's ready to go at each other's throats with an excess of the fire element. Why? Because the law of attraction is today more important than the law of intention. If your child is full of fire because of all of the radiating devices that they use in your home, you never purify that, you don't take them to the beach often enough or the parks, or they don't want to go or whatever, what you're doing is you're attracting violence. Your child is a magnet for violence because he has inside of him in terms of images and the actual, what do they call it? I don't remember what the name is. Static. You have the static of the 5G and the microwave and the Wi-Fi fire, and then you go out and you've got a smile on your face, but that's not your vibration. So we're changing the title. Instead of your children, don't send your children out into the world with an excess of the fire element. That's being contextually valid. One of the things that I liked about Buddhism, and I'm not a Buddhist, is that supposedly, we don't really know, he said that he didn't want any of his teachings written down because in the future they might not be contextually valid. Totally accurate. Makes sense. Wide lens picture. And going back, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, or people are just going to push me to the side. How much was Christianity able to help us during the plague? And what are they giving us today having to do with this next scheduled plagues? I know that the churches closed down. Everybody went home. And I know that the people that were used to going to the churches were in shock. Now I see a lot of new people have signed up, and that's fine. What are they doing about the plague? Because talking about the plague politically doesn't resolve the issue. If you're signing up for something that has to do with spirituality, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't. What I'm saying is that if things are changing so quickly that the stuff that we could rely on that could help us before and give us support and comfort cannot do that too many times today. It's a new world. And so our coping mechanisms are stretched thin, and the things that we relied on before that could give us guidance, etc., are lost also. And I'm not trying to put down a religion, and I'm not trying to put down followers. Maybe I'm verbalizing something that needs to be verbalized, and there needs to be some adjustments made, because we all need support. And we all need spiritual support, because we have not yet understood that we are gods and that our mind creates reality. So we honestly really don't need a religion. But we haven't understood that. We have not known that. It has not been proven to us in a way that's effective, etc. So I don't know what your reaction is going to be to all of this that I've said today. But everything that I said, I believe, and comes as a realization after many years of watching humanity, being it that I have not been allowed to participate as a normal human being in the process of life. From the sidelines, I have viewed a lot, and I have been accurate most of the time. These are just comments and observations. But maybe at one point, some of them may be able to help you. And you can understand and say, wow, that makes sense, because I'm looking here and I'm not finding, and yet I always did before. But this is not before. So